Welcome to the 2014 Teen Distracted Driving Prevention Summit. My name's Anita Bowles. Oh, I heard a clap. You want to clap for that? Whoa. Okay. My name's Anita Bowles. I'm the CEO of the National Organizations for Youth Safety, also known as NOYS. We have a packed day filled with information, innovation, and a little bit of entertainment. We're thrilled to have such talented peer mentors and youth teams with us today who have crafted this event and will be leading the way as we navigate the day. This day isn't just about peer-to-peer education. This summit is about how youth can have a real impact among peers, with their parents and communities, and with policymakers to become true leaders in the prevention of distracted driving and the fight to save lives on our roads. None of this would have been possible, however, without our generous sponsors, which include AT&T, State Farm, DCH Safe Teen Driving Foundation, the Foundation for Advancing Alcohol Responsibility, and the Don't Text and Drive Foundation. The dedication and leadership of AT&T and State Farm have been a force behind this year's summit, and they are leading the way to address the issue of distracted driving through AT&T's It Can Wait program and State Farm's Celebrate My Drive. We're very thankful for the investment of these companies have made in all of our lives, so thank you. I'd also like to thank the exhibitors for joining us today and sharing their resources. Woo! And I'd like to remind the youth teams that there is an exhibit hall quiz in their booklets and that they need to actually visit all of the exhibits, have that quiz filled out, and return it to Karen Patty if you'd like to be eligible for the grand prize of a $100 Amazon gift certificate. Ooh, so remember to do that. I'd also like to thank all of you for joining us today, not only for the summit, but in celebration of National Teen Driver Safety Week, led by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. We're also streaming live today, so I'd like to welcome those who are viewing as well. We are so honored to have Secretary Foxx joining us today. We are going to modify the agenda just a little bit. He will be here at 10:15, so we'll be able to hear from him then. Until that time, we're just going to roll ahead with the rest of our agenda. In the meantime, please silence your phones. No distractions here today. And let's get started. We're going to kick off the summit with the national anthem. You may recognize Matt Patty from the summit last year or our Global Youth Traffic Safety Month event in May. He's a talented young singer from Warrenton, Virginia. Please help me in welcoming Matt Patty.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Marissa, I'm so excited for this party.
I'm so ready. Oh, can I see the
Oh my goodness. All right. Back on the road. Okay.
Can I borrow that?
Okay. Oh, Marissa. All right. You guys are going to be here. We got to stay focused, okay? Finish it. All right, maybe we should turn on the music.
Okay,
Let's
yeah,
do it.
There we go.
According to New York Daily News, 50% of women apply makeup while driving daily, causing nearly 450,000 car accidents per year. Getting up 15 minutes earlier to do your makeup behind the mirror won't kill you, but doing it behind the wheel just may.
Did you get that group text message?
I think I might have. I need to check.
Directions in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He just.
I gotta pull it up. I think I got it.
Okay.
Wait.
Yep. And pull up maps.
Oh, maps.
Yeah. If you just keep one eye on the maps.
I can
one
do it
on the
myself.
road,
I can do it myself.
it'll be fine. Okay.
All right.
real
Yeah.
quiet,
I don't like it. You're good.
What does the fox say? What the fox say?
By sending one text message behind the wheel, you've driven the length of a football field blind. I bet you didn't score on that opening drive.
I took the cutest selfie the other day.
I actually forget, actually.
Look at my son.
No.
Let's take a selfie.
Can someone just please turn on the music?
I got you.
What does the fox say? What the fox say?
Did you know that 85% of the time, the people killed by distracted driving weren't doing it themselves? They were the passengers. Doesn't seem quite fair now, does it? Now it's time to take a stand against distracted driving and find out, what does the Fox say?
Live from DC. This is the 2014 Teen Distracted Driving Prevention Summit.
What does the fox say? What the fox say?
Hello and welcome to the 2014 Teen Distracted Driving Prevention Summit, broadcasting live from NOYS in Washington, D.C. My name is Noah Brooks, and I am excited to be here with all of you. As we all know, distracted driving is an epidemic in our nation, and today our 2014-2015 youth leadership teams take a big step in leading the efforts in their home states to prevent distracted driving behind the wheel. Now, this is not your typical DC meeting, so get ready for a fantastic day that is youth-inspired and youth-led. We have several special guests joining us today to share insight on the many aspects of distracted driving, including those who have been affected personally. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Noah. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Kleiman, and along with the 8 other peer mentors, we will host today's event here in the NOYS newsroom. All of our peer mentor broadcasters have been active in our states and our organizations, working to empower and engage our peers to address critical youth safety issues. As Noah mentioned, this is a youth-inspired, youth-led summit, and the peer mentors have set the agenda for this meeting and led a pre-summit training with the youth leadership teams. So we're all very excited about this summit, as it's an important step towards distraction-free driving for all. Please join Noah and I in welcoming the rest of the 2014 peer mentors. Craig Collins, Marissa Kunerth, Katie Quigley, Josh Sorby, Patrick Stepp, Tristan Nunez, and Skylar Yoder. Back to you, Noah.
Thanks, Elizabeth. We are so inspired by the youth teams in attendance this year. Along with those here today, we are also joined by youth and adults across the country who are viewing this event live via internet stream. Classrooms are watching, and many traffic safety leaders are tuned in. So, as we go throughout the day, we encourage all of you, both here in the NOYS newsroom and online, to tweet about the summit and submit your questions using the hashtag JustDrive and tag at NOYS News. We will answer your questions or submit them to the speakers as time allows. Here with us today, ready for what we believe will be an epic summit, are 16 teams of youth and their advisors from 13 different states. They have traveled to D.C. to be trained to make some noise in their home states to prevent distracted driving and encourage safe teen driving. We have teams joining us from all over the country. As I call out your state, please stand up and give a wave. Alabama. California. Georgia. Hawaii. Indiana. Missouri. New Jersey. New York. Ohio. Oklahoma. Pennsylvania. Tennessee. And Texas. These teams have been hard at work getting ready for the summit. Throughout the day, you will see some of their efforts. Before they came to D.C., the teams took to the streets in their hometowns asking questions about distracted driving. Those will be broadcasted as special features in our news program today. Now, we are going to open the summit with a very distinguished guest speaker. Joining us today is the National Transportation Safety Board Acting Chairman Christopher Hart. Chairman Hart was sworn in as a member of the National Transportation Safety Board on August 12th, 2009, and designated by the President for a 2-year term as Vice Chairman of the board. In August 2013, President Obama nominated him for a second term as a board member, and in October 2013 designated him for a third term as Vice Chairman. He has served as acting NTSB Chairman since April of this year, and in July was nominated by the President to serve as Chairman of the NTSB. Chairman Hart joined the board after a long career in transportation safety, including a previous term as a member of the NTSB. Immediately before returning to the board in 2009, he was Deputy Director for Air Traffic Safety Oversight at the Federal Aviation Administration. He was previously the FAA Assistant Administrator for System Safety. He served as a member of the NTSB from 1990 to 1993. After leaving the board, he served as Deputy Administrator of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration before moving to the FAA in 1995. From 1973 until joining the board in 1990, Chairman Hart held a series of legal positions, mostly in the private sector. He holds a law degree from Harvard University and a master's and bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering from Princeton University. He is a licensed pilot with commercial multi-engine and instrument ratings, and his family has a tradition of accomplishment in the field of transportation. His great-uncle James Herman Banning was the first African American to receive his pilot's license issued by the U.S. government in 1926. Please join me in welcoming acting Acting Chairman Christopher Hart.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. That's a hard act to follow. But that's the excitement of it. I want to thank you first for that very kind introduction, and thanks very much to NOYS for inviting the National Transportation Safety Board to speak here today. I also want to thank the organizations that collaborate under the NOYS umbrella for your leadership, guidance, and resources for youth safety advocates. But most of all, I want to thank the young people here today from all over the country for all that you do. This is so cool. Did I do anything this cool when I was a teenager? I doubt it. This is exciting, what you are doing for the safety of all of us. So that's really cool. And plus, next year, I noticed that Colorado was not on that list. I'm from Colorado, yay Broncos. So I'll have to see what I can do to get Colorado on that list for next year. So for those of you who may not know what the NTSB does, we investigate accidents in all modes of transportation, and then we determine what caused the accident, and then we make recommendations to try to prevent those accidents from happening again. So we send our recommendations to anyone who can address the problems that we find in our investigations. So for example, we would send recommendations to federal regulators like NHTSA. We would send them to state or local agencies, to commercial vehicle operators, to anybody else who can make transportation safer. So one example is that we recently sent a recommendation to the 50 states and DC to ban the use of portable electronic devices, whether handheld or hands-free, and that's important, whether handheld or hands-free, except in emergencies. We had a very good reason for making that recommendation. We made it in 2011 after we investigated a very tragic multi-vehicle crash in Gray Summit, Missouri. In this crash, a 19-year-old man driving a pickup truck at high speed drove it into the rear of a commercial vehicle that had slowed because of a traffic queue in front of him. Notably, there were no skid marks. And when we see no skid marks, that suggests that the pickup truck driver never even saw the slowed vehicle. So in our investigation, we discovered that he'd been exchanging texts with a friend for several minutes before that crash. His friend had sent the last text just 1 minute before the impact. So when our investigators learned about that, they wondered whether he was composing a response to his friend instead of paying attention to the road ahead. We'll never know that for sure. He was killed in the crash, but that's very likely that he was composing a response. So after he collided with the commercial vehicle, the first school bus struck the pickup truck, and then the second school bus struck the first school bus. So it was a chain collision that started from this 19-year-old driver of the pickup truck. So the driver of the lead school bus had also been distracted for a very different reason. She had moved to the left lane because a bus had moved into the right shoulder upon seeing this pickup truck crash into the truck. Then this bus moved over to the right shoulder, I guess thinking they're going to get out and see if they could help at all. But now this bus is in the right shoulder, so the school bus moves over to the left lane to stay well clear of this bus in the right shoulder, and she was checking in her rearview mirror to see if she could move back to the right lane when all this was in front of her. So it's tragic enough that the crash was fatal to the driver of the pickup truck, but it's even more tragic that the pickup truck driver's distraction also led to the death of a 15-year-old girl who was in the lead school bus. 38 others were injured, and 5 of them were injured seriously. So as a result of this accident, we recommended a ban on the use of both hands-free and handheld cell phones. That's where our recommendations come from. They come from what we find when we go to accidents and investigate. However, that's what we do. We recommend. We cannot require anyone to follow our recommendations, so stay tuned to see if the states enact the ban that we have recommended. Even if the states do enact that ban, though, will changes in the law be enough to change behaviors and attitudes? I mean, I think you saw a very realistic demonstration of what happens every day. Unfortunately, we have a long history in drinking and driving that changing the laws doesn't necessarily change behaviors and attitudes. So in addition to the laws, we also need high visibility enforcement, and we also need education, because ultimately what we're looking to change is attitudes and behaviors. And that's where your effort is so very important, because you stand poised to influence your peers, that means other teenage drivers, to remain focused on the driving task and not to be distracted by their electronic devices. I understand that we'll see many of you in the NTSB boardroom tomorrow for part of our forum that's called Awake, Alert, and Alive, and it's about drowsy driving. You'll hear a panel of experts talk about fatigue driving with a focus on the special issues that face novice drivers. The name of the forum, Awake, Alert, and Alive, also applies to distracted driving. Eliminating distraction in transportation is so important to the NTSB that it's on our most wanted list of important safety improvements. Driver distraction has been an issue ever since people began driving. It could range from reading a street sign to see where you are, to looking at the beautiful scenery, to wowing over that 1955 Thunderbird. Wow, that's pretty cool. Personal electronic devices and electronic devices that are installed in the car, so it's not all about your cell phone, it's also about devices that are installed in the car. I was using my GPS this morning to get here. They introduce the potential for much more frequent and serious distraction than looking at the scenery and looking at the street sign and looking at the 55 Thunderbird. And that's why your work is so very important. Nobody else in this room understands your peers the way that you do, and nobody else can reach your peers the way that you can. If they hear it from me, they're likely to disregard it as so much babble from an old fuddy-duddy who's a wimp about risk. But if they hear it from you, it's a message that's more likely to be heard and more likely to sink in. So today you will hear about the science of distracted driving. You'll learn about the perspectives of people and families affected by distracted driving. You'll focus on the best ways to break through and reach your peers and also others. And you'll learn to be even better at raising awareness. The good news is that if the problem is distraction, the remedy is actually very simple. Redirect your attention back to the road where it belongs. That's not the case for fatigue that many of you will be hearing about tomorrow, or for substance impairment, because they involve physical effects that have no immediate remedy that's effective in the moment. The bad news, however, is that even when drivers know that distracted driving is dangerous, they still do it. In 2012, AT&T, thanks to AT&T for sponsoring this, released a teen driver survey as part of the It Can Wait campaign that is such a big focus for NOYS. The survey found that just about every teen, 97%, knows that it's dangerous to text and drive. But having said that, look how amazing it is that about 40% of them, 2 out of 5, still said that they do it. They text while they drive, even though 97% of them know that it's dangerous. So what can we do to convince that 40% to avoid doing what they know is unsafe? Interestingly, more than half of those said that reminders from their parents would be effective in getting them or their friends not to text and drive. So that makes me wonder whether that means that we old fuddy-duddies are not reaching your parents and getting the word out, because it's not just getting the word out to the teens, it's also getting the word out to the parents. Since that study, more information has been flooding in about every aspect of distracted driving, both from research sources and from popular media messages. For example, the AAA Safety Foundation continues to find that, quote, hands-free is not risk-free. So a lot of people think just because I'm hands-free, a lot of people think that means it's okay. And a lot of people say, well, why is hands-free phone conversation any worse than talking to the person next to you? Well, that's because the person next to you sees that you're on slippery road or you're in a traffic jam or whatever the situation is, whereas the person on the other end of the phone has no clue to find out about the environment that you're in. So they've moved on to quantify the levels of distraction introduced by different activities and different systems. And to make matters worse, AAA predicts that there will be a 5-fold increase in the in-vehicle infotainment systems by 2018, only 4 more years. Meanwhile, in advertisements, high-end vehicles with collision avoidance systems are often marketed in ways that suggest that they are actually safe to operate even while distracted. So that's the beginning of a trend that we don't like. We need to turn that around and get people not to be distracted while they're driving. So while teens may benefit from reminders from their parents about texting and driving, when it comes to phone conversation, guess what? Parents themselves are sometimes part of the problem. A study presented at an American Psychological Association convention this August found that teens who texted while driving, teens tended to be texting their friends, but teens who talked on their cell phones while driving very often were talking to their parents. So we have to wonder how many teens talk on cell phones when they drive because they see their parents talk on cell phones when they drive. So that means that our challenge is not only to communicate to teen drivers, but also to communicate to parents that it's not safe to expect teens to take phone calls while they're driving. As the study's authors suggest in their presentation, call me back or pull over so we can talk should also be options for those conversations. So while we're in control of a moving device that weighs thousands of pounds, there's only one kind of information we should be connecting to, and that's the information, excuse me, about the road in front of us. That's where our eyes should be, and that's where our minds should be, on the road in front of us. That includes teens who are new to driving, includes old fuddy-duddies like me, some of whom are new to electronic devices, so my 11-year-old daughter is still telling me how to use my iPhone. And it includes everyone in between. No matter who is driving, distraction from electronic devices is not safe. So thank you for all that you have done and will continue to do to get this important message out and for ensuring that it's heard, and my best wishes for a very productive and successful summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Acting Chairman Hart, not only for joining us here today, but for your support of our work to address safe teen driving. This has been a great start to the day that will be rich in conversation and information. It is clear distracted driving is an issue that brings great concern to all of us.
Elizabeth and I want to thank you for joining our broadcast this morning. Stay tuned for our next segment with Patrick Stepp and Katie Quigley.